Hi everyone, my name is Renee, Program Officer with EcoSchools Canada. On behalf of EcoSchools, thank you for viewing this webinar as part of our 2023 EcoSummit. I'm pleased to introduce Kirsten Hodge and Brenda Shivanandan from Pacific Museum of Earth and Steamlabs to present this webinar, Climate Hero, an online escape room where AI meets climate education. Kirsten Hodge is the director of the Pacific Museum of Earth, one of the main outreach hubs at the University of British Columbia. She's a thinker, planner, and conduit between science experts and young minds. Trained as a volcanologist and science educator, her current work aims to encourage critical thinking and reflection and inspire curiosity in her students and public visitors to the Pacific Museum of Earth, while inviting them to discover the value of science, not only in terms of knowledge acquisition, but also aesthetic wonder. Her goal is to share science stories so that people feel more connected to our planet and their place within it. Brenda Shivanandan is the lead design and project manager of Steamlabs, a nonprofit focused on developing science, technology, and AI educational experiences for science centers, museums, and other nonprofits. As an educator, visual designer, and maker, her goal is to continue to work with communities to make AI knowledge convenient and comprehensible. By encouraging a broad understanding of AI, she believes that participants will not only be empowered to use AI as a useful tool, but also advocate for equitable, ethical, fair, and accountable policies from companies and governments. Be sure to check out the additional resources for this webinar, which can be found linked in the description below and in the presentation schedule at ecoschools.ca/ecosummit. We would also like to acknowledge that the EcoSummit has been made possible with support from Natural Resources Canada. We're glad to have you join us for this presentation, and now I will pass it over to Kirsten and Brenda.
Hi, everyone. We are so excited to give you a sneak peek of our new game, Climate Hero, which is an online escape room that combines AI with climate education. So this game was developed as a partnership. There's a lot of people involved. You're just seeing two of us on this presentation. It was between the Pacific Museum of Earth, which is at the University of British Columbia, and our amazing partners at Steamlabs, and with support from the Canadian Association of Science Centers through their Gen Action initiative, as well as Amazon Future Engineer, which is a program aimed at increasing access to computer science education for students from underserved and underrepresented communities. And of course, with our partners at EcoSchools Canada, who have invited us here to share with you all this new exciting learning tool. So just to say a little introduction again, my name is Kirsten Hodge, and I am the director of the Pacific Museum of Earth, which is one of the main outreach hubs at the University of British Columbia.
And hi, I'm Brenda. I'm designer and project manager at Steamlabs.
And before we get started, I just want to acknowledge that the Pacific Museum of Earth is located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam people.
And I'd also like to include that Steamlabs is on traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people.
So the Pacific Museum of Earth we're actually part of a academic department at the University of British Columbia, so the Department of Earth, Ocean, and Atmospheric Sciences, which means that we have a lot of amazing people to work with. So we have Earth and planetary science scholars and educators, as well as their awesome graduate students who either work or volunteer at the museum. And in fact, we had two atmospheric science graduate students who were co-developers on this project. So they did a lot of writing for the game. And so a lot of the content that you see was student developed. And so the main goal of what we do at the Pacific Museum of Earth is really to connect people, and specifically in this case, young people, to science. So we really want to provide a link to the fundamental science that's shaping our planet. So how do things work in general, to topics that have environmental, economic, and societal importance. So why should we care? And in this case, why should we care about climate change? And really, I see our scientists as storytellers who are armed with knowledge of how the world works, And so at the museum, and of course, within our department at the university, we really want to facilitate this knowledge translation between the experts, the people who are, thinking and working on these problems every day, with public audiences, because we want to create these learning pathways through, for example, our exhibits or our public programming, because again, our goal is to really inspire appreciation and wonder for Earth and the planets and where we fit into that story.
And we're from Steamlabs. So Steamlabs is a nonprofit started in 2010. We developed AI, science, and technology educational experiences for organizations such as science centers and museums, and for other nonprofits. We build online tools and other physical installations all around AI, coding, climate change, and more. And our main focus is to partner with organizations to figure out who their audience is and develop programs geared for their audience so that the education is really comprehensible and easy to understand. And our mission at Steamlabs is to ensure that everyone has a better and broader understanding of AI, to ensure that they're not only left out of the conversation when it comes to AI development, but also they have the ability to use it and also advocate for more ethical and fair policies for companies who are developing AI.
And then I just want to give a quick shout out to the funding initiative that allowed us to build such a fun and cool climate focused learning tool. So Gen Action is an initiative of the Inspiring Youth to Climate Action project that's funded by the Government of Canada's Climate Action and Awareness Fund. It's led by a strong partnership collective of leaders with science centers within the science center sector, including the Discovery Center, the Canadian Association of Science Centers, or CAS, that represents over 45 science centers, museums, and informal learning organizations all across Canada. And so the Pacific Museum of Earth and Steamlabs, we're both CAS members, and we have joined 28 other organizations in the Gen Action initiative, including the Discovery Center in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Science North in Sudbury, Ontario, and Exploration Place in Prince George, British Columbia, just to name a few. And again, together with this amazing group of organizations, sort of the main goals of the Gen Action Initiative are to raise awareness and improve understanding of climate change among Canadian youth, to amplify the significance of daily actions that can reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and improve access to peer-reviewed research. And so this is where, again, we want to connect the scientists who are working on these climate science issues to the public and to youth. And then again, we want to encourage students to commit to climate action. So let's talk about the game. Okay, so I want you all, as you're watching this video, I want you to close your eyes and imagine this. Okay, Brenda's closing her eyes for me too. Okay, so the year is 2063. And as you're looking around with your eyes closed, the Earth is noticeably changed. So things are looking a little bit different. Extreme temperatures and precipitation bring intense heat waves and devastating floods, worrisome droughts that are threatening the food supplies and the livelihood of the local communities. And so players in Climate Hero will enter this world 40 years in the future, and you'll be given the opportunity to go back in time to today and make commitments to climate action. Okay, so you can open your eyes now. We'll go back into presentation mode. So Climate Hero is an online escape room that synthesizes knowledge learned throughout the game, and it asks learners to escape from Earth climate crisis. So in the game, players will use critical thinking and collaboration skills to solve a series of challenges that communicate basic concepts of climate science and action. And so the goals of the game are, we want to educate and inspire the next generation of scientists and policymakers and truly just global citizens to, embark on conversations and take action to tackle climate change. And we're totally aware, and we also want to emphasize the need to balance the seriousness of the climate crisis with hope and action for our youth participants, because our goal is to leave the students, you all, motivated and activated rather than overwhelmed. And so we're really trying to center the dialogue in the game on collective action over individual responsibility for addressing the climate crisis. Okay, so the breakdown of the game. There are 6 challenges, and I'm just going to give a brief introduction and then we'll walk through each of them in a little bit more detail. So we start with the time traveler, which again is where you're set in the future, you're tasked to go back in time. And then you go to the carbon cart, which is a special grocery store that lets you learn about how food choice is related to climate. Then the community convincer, well, you'll go around the town and speak to different community members, and sort of the focus there is more on like community level action and how speaking to your neighbors and interacting with the people around you is an important climate action. And then we'll shift into some extreme events and learn about different adaptation strategies for the extreme events that this town is experiencing. And then finally, in the policy planner, we'll actually shift into a little bit higher level climate action at the government level and learn about how we can get involved in that at that level. And then the last challenge before students escape the climate escape room is to create a pledge poster. And so this will take a pledge that they choose, a climate pledge that they choose that they can literally start doing this week with their climate hero avatar, and it will create this beautiful poster for them to share and say that they're going to commit to this action. Okay, should we play the game? Just like a little sneak peek. So what we're going to do is walk through just part of the first challenge, the time traveler challenge. And we really want to, sort of give you a snapshot of what it might feel like to play the game. And I'll just note that, we're still in the development phase. So a lot of the features and the mechanics that you see are still in the works, but this is truly the first sneak peek. So hope you're excited to see it. And so, yeah, so this is the teacher setup page. So if you're playing as a class, you will navigate to this page. You can also play the game as an individual, but we're going to focus here on the classroom setup because we really want you to play it with your peers and with your students and with your friends and your family. So, okay. So first thing is you'll select your grade level. For today, we're just going to be a grade 8 class. You will choose your location and your province. So I'm located in British Columbia, and then you can choose the number of groups. So today we'll select 2 groups. You'll set an end time for the game. And so this can be the time that you'd like to finish. If you have, a class that ends at a specific time, then you'll choose the challenges that you want to engage with. And you can engage with all of them, or depending on the amount of time you have, you can select only 2 or 3. And then you create the classroom. You'll get a classroom code that you'll copy and distribute to students. You can also write this on the board. And then I'm going to show you what students will see. So they'll put in the classroom code, say join classroom. They'll choose a group to be in, and then they'll put in their name. I'm going to use my daughter's name, Reina. And then they get to choose an avatar. And so these are our climate hero avatars. And that kind of looks like my daughter, so I'll choose this one. And now we're ready to join or to play. So we're going to go back to the teacher page, and you'll start to see other students joining the groups as well. And once you have all your students in their respective groups, you can sort of see as they'll get populated, you can start the game. Okay, and we're ready. So then I'm going to go back to being a student playing the game. So the game will load. And this is sort of the view of what it looks like. And so you can see the avatars. You can check on the status of your team as well. And so you'll start to see we can move around the town, and just by clicking with the mouse, you can see up at the top there's a status bar that shows the challenge progress, so in this specific challenge, and then also the game progress. And also notice the countdown timer, which is going to be the time left to escape the game. And of course, we've used the metaphor here of time left to save the earth. So let's go talk to some of our neighbors. So we just click on the houses where these neighbors live, and we read about sort of what's going on with them in this futuristic town. I'll remind you again, this is the year 2063. So things are looking a little bit different, and so the players need to interact with the community members to sort of understand what's happening. And so they have to speak to 3 members of the town before they can move forward in this challenge. And then once they have, they're tasked to go to the university to get their mission assignment. And so you can see that, you know, this is sort of a zoomed in view, but the town is quite big, and you can navigate all around it. You can see the different names on the houses are the characters that are inside those buildings. So I'm just going to walk myself over to the university and see who is there to speak with me. Okay, and so I speak to Rachel, and I'm gonna learn about what Rachel is suggesting we do, which is take a time machine back to save the planet. And so if you want to pause the video so you can see the details of this, but we'll just go through it kind of quick for the presentation. But basically we'll choose a time to go back to. Spoiler alert, 1850 is not the correct time to go back. And so students will find out that you have to basically go back to present day to make climate action now. And so we prepare for this time travel by making some choices. And so we'll learn about how clothing choices that you make are related to climate. And then we'll learn about how transportation choices are related to climate. And so again, students will click through and sort of read the dialogues. They can ask for advice if they're not sure on a question. And they'll sort of get a response as well from the game to say which options are better than others, because there isn't just one right answer for this. And then finally, at the end of the challenge, they will be able to select climate pledges that they want to commit to. They can also add in custom pledges if they want, and these will all be saved throughout the game in this pledge book. And so they'll type it in and submit the pledge, and then they will have completed challenge 1 time traveler. And so they'll start to see the health of the earth improve. And so in this animation, you see that crops are starting to grow back. Things are looking greener, there's trees growing. And for each challenge, there's a sort of a status, the earth status photo that they can see. And so as they complete the challenges, they will earn these images in this photo gallery. And in order to escape the game, they have to gain all 6 of these challenges, or all 6 of these images. Okay, so that was our little sneak peek of this. Now we're going to go into the carbon cart. So let's have a look inside this unusual grocery store where students will walk around and they'll be able to select different parts of the grocery store. And so, of course, this is not a typical grocery store, but they will be, you know, tasked with thinking about choices and making choices. And then, you know, really reading about how the choices that they make specifically around food are related to the climate, and in particular, how they're related to greenhouse gas emissions and carbon footprint. And so for this challenge, students will walk around and interact with different sections of the grocery store, make choices, and yeah, and once they complete all of the various sections, they'll check out. And we have to remind them not to forget their reusable shopping bags, of course, when they visit the carbon cart.
And the next challenge, challenge 3, is the community convincer. So students in this challenge must walk around the town and talk to different citizens about the problems that they are facing. And after discussing with them, students will then have to try to convince the citizens to make more eco-conscious decisions based on their problems. This challenge is different from the previous ones because instead of selecting the options that we give them, students must type out their own dialogue with the citizens to make a more convincing statement. And just like a side note, we wanted to make this feature because we want to ensure that students are actually listening and reading the dialogue and doing some critical thinking, something that we can measure by seeing if their responses are correct. And we also think that this is an important skill for students when they're learning to know how to talk about climate-related issues in their own lives. So within each of these conversations within this challenge, there are 3 potential outcomes, being not convincing, not convincing enough, and convincing. So for example, in this one, we have someone walking up and overhearing this conversation saying, "I'm going to be in so much trouble." And then as a player, we select, "Oh no, what's wrong?" Again, you can just pause this and read the entire thing, but basically, we meet this character who finds that they're getting in trouble with their mom, and so they want to prove to their mom that they're more responsible. And so they're going to the grocery store to pick up groceries, and we are challenged to tell Rachel to bring their own bag to carry groceries home. So here's an example of what not to say, which is you should get plastic bags. And so once we submit that, then the response from Rachel is, "Yeah, I'll grab a bunch of plastic bags. It's easier anyways." So again, not the right response. And so the player is prompted to make a more convincing argument based on the clues we have. So instead of that, we say, let's try to convince Rachel to not bring plastic bags. And we say, plastic bags are not good for the environment. You should bring your own bag. And then we submit that and see what happens. And Rachel says, "Yeah, sure, I care about saving turtles and all that, but I can't remember to bring a bag every time." And so this relates to this, we're trying to emphasize to relate back to the conversation we had earlier and find clues within that conversation. So we will then tell Rachel instead, you should bring your own bag next time. It reduces plastic waste. And it will show your mother how responsible you are. So that just ties back to the initial problem Rachel was having, where she's trying to convince her mom she's responsible. And by having both solutions for the character as well as solutions that are climate focused, then we succeed with this challenge. So this is just an example of how clues can be found within conversations, but in other cases, clues can also be found within the town. So for example, you can find if someone has a broken DVD and you go to the repair store in the town, there's a poster that says free DVD repairs. And so you need to go to that clue within the town, as well as figure out the clue within the dialogue to make the decision convincing enough that also is more environmentally conscious. Just some AI background with this one. To power this feature, we're using a software, a large language model software called Cohere AI. And recently there's been a lot of concern with GPT-3 about how it's hallucinating untrue information. So we wanted to ensure that this chatbot was extremely safe, especially because we're giving it to students. So instead of having the chatbot generate its own text, we've ensured that all the responses that the characters are given is written by us, and all the AI is doing is selecting which responses are best for a natural conversation.
Awesome. And then challenge 4, extreme events. So in this challenge, players will navigate Again, walking through the town, they'll learn about some of the devastating extreme events that the town has been experiencing. So summer droughts, wildfires, to winters filled with heavy rains and hurricanes. And so they'll have these conversations with people in the town to learn about the different ways that the community is adapting to extreme climate events. So for example, increasing water storage infrastructure to adapt to droughts, or installing air conditioners, or passive cooling and building design to survive summer heat waves, or even planting community gardens and increasing tree coverage to minimize the heat island effect in cities such as this one. And of course, students might also get to talk to beavers and learn about how restoring beaver habitat is important. So these little guys are known for building small dams that trap water that can create these natural wetlands. And this encourages biodiversity and hosts a vast array of animals and insects. And these environments, they truly do clean the water naturally by filtering out all sorts of metals and contaminants. So not only are these guys minimizing flood risk, but they're also storing water for droughts. So again, through these conversations in the Extreme Events Challenge, players will learn that adapting to extreme events is important, but it's only one part of the solution. And so in the second to last challenge, Policy Planner, players will explore the importance of government level climate action. And again, this is sort of where the main thrust of the game lies in sort of focusing on the message of this game. And so players will be again in their community, but at this point, the word has spread that there's a climate hero in town. And so people travel in from neighboring communities to seek advice of the climate hero to help change their town's long-term climate action strategies. And so in the Policy Planner, players will explore how communities can take more collaborative action to both mitigate climate change. So how do we reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but also adapt to its effects? And of course, this is drawing on knowledge from the Extreme Events Challenge. And really they'll learn that creating a sustainable future is not an easy task and truly does require striking the right balance between mitigation and adaptation. And so players will investigate how to work with community leaders, local businesses, and other residents in order to promote these higher level climate actions, such as voting and signing petitions and writing letters to politicians and even organizing protests. And so really, through this challenge, players will learn about the need for collective action at the government level to combat climate change. And then the final challenge before they escape the escape room is to create a pledge poster. And so from the pledge book that I showed in the first challenge, where they've selected pledges associated with each particular challenge, they'll choose just one, and we want it to be something that they can commit to literally this week. And so they'll select that, and then their climate hero avatar will be made into this beautiful pledge poster. And really, we want students to share this so they can either send it to their friends and family, they can post it on social media, they can print it out to display on the wall of the classroom or at home, because we really want to show off these climate commitments. Okay, so this is the big, exciting announcement. April 1st, which is coming up very soon, we are launching an early access preview of this game. So you all saw the early access preview with this presentation, but this is you can play the game starting on April 1st. And we really want to invite you, the students, the educators, to be part of the final development phase of Climate Hero. Again, this is a game that's been developed with students, for students. So we're inviting you to join us for this last phase. And you'll see I put Brenda's email up on the slide. So take a screenshot, write it down. This is the last time you'll see it though, but we want to hear from you. So as you play, be in touch with us. And also, exciting announcement too is that at the Pacific Museum of Earth, we are also developing a virtual climate program that will be part of this Climate Hero game. So it'll be a complimentary program that will be free. You can book it online. And basically, we will Zoom a PME educator and UBC climate scientist into your classroom to talk about the climate crisis. It's a Q&A. You can ask them anything you want. It's going to be very exciting. So keep up, with our programming. Either follow us on social media or visit our website, and stay tuned for that launch. And then also, most importantly, don't forget that you all are Eco Schools. There is going to be an action card where you can actually receive points toward your Eco Schools certification by playing Climate Hero. And that will also start on April 1st. So get in there early, be like one of the first schools to play and gain points.
And just one more shout out. Steamlabs has another Gen Action program. And we create this program because we know data is hard to teach. A lot of the times it's just numbers and there isn't a story along with it. So for this workshop, we've gathered a whole bunch of data from different data sets and summarized it into make code. And that make code can be combined with a microbit and different electronics to create a data visualization project, like the one you see on the left here. For example, with this project, we've taken data based on the energy use and the energy sources. So dependent on the time of year and the time of day, your energy can be green or it can be coming from fossil fuel. So for example, should I use the dryer? It's 7 p.m. on a winter evening. Yes, you should. So this is just one example of some of the many projects we have. And as education students, you are welcome to get a whole classroom electronic kit for free based on your location. So check out our website, Steamlabs, and go to the data visualization tab to fill in the form to see if you can get a free kit. We also want to make this workshop really accessible and easy to learn. So we've partnered with Kids Code NS, and they have free teacher trainings all about microbits and how to use this workshop, as well as other workshops where we can go into your classroom and directly present this program. And then another one is we've developed a whole bunch of other different AI workshops presented by KCJ. So if you go to Kids Code NS website under Code in the Classroom, you can see all our different workshops about how AI even works, neural networks, microbits and AI, and a whole bunch of other things. And then included into those workshops is a chatbot workshop, similar to the one that we are using in this game actually. So as students and teachers, you can make your own chatbot and see how chatbots are even used. And that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much for being with us for this presentation. And we want you to talk to us. We want to hear from you. All our contact info will be in the description of this video. And also in the description, there's a link to a Google form. And we would love it if you could take 1 minute and tell us what excites you the most about the Climate Hero game. And if you fill out the form, you will be one of the first people to get to play the game. So do it now. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.